Tourism Minister says Ethiopia's Safe Travel Stamp helps revive the tourism sector. And Biden signals new tone on US-Africa relations. Hello and thank you all for joining us. You're watching Addis News Hour with the news. I'm Tabitha John. Do stay with us. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed and his delegation have attended the virtual summit of the 34th Ordinary Session of the Assembly of the African Union. The assembly is being held under the theme Arts, Culture and Heritage, Levers for Building the Africa We Want. In his opening remarks, the outgoing chairperson of AU and President of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, called for greater cooperation to defeat COVID-19. President Ramaphosa further underscored the need to implement the institutional reforms necessary for the AU to become a professional and self-sustaining organization. The president also expressed his country's commitment to work with the incoming AU chairperson, Felix Antoine Tshisekedi, President of the Democratic Republic of Congo. The incoming AU chairperson, Felix Tshisekedi, for his part, saluted the progress made in the ratification process of the AFCFTA at the start of this year. He also pledged to strengthen peace and security in the continent and consolidate initiatives of the AU in the fight against COVID-19 and in the prevention against other diseases. Ethiopian President Sahle-Work Zewde held talks with the new AU chairman Felix Antoine Tshisekedi. The new AU chairperson, who's the president of the Democratic Republic of Congo, was accorded a warm welcome by President Sahle-Work Zewde and other Ethiopian senior government officials yesterday upon arrival at the Bole International Airport. The two discussed various issues at the national and continental levels. President Felix Tshisekedi took over the rotating one-year-long chairmanship of the AU from his South African counterpart, Cyril Ramaphosa. Delivering a message to African leaders meeting virtually, US President Joe Biden outlined what he called a shared vision of a better future with growing trade and investment that advances peace and security. The African Union 34th Summit is ongoing virtually for the first time due to the COVID-19 pandemic under the theme Arts, Culture and Heritage, Levers for Building the Africa We Want. Haptam Washagri has more from Africa News.
One of the top discussions of the 34th African Union Summit seems to be Africa's response to the COVID-19 pandemic. The vaccination programs have begun in some countries of the continent. It has been much slower than wealthy nations. It has been 2.6 million cases in the continent since the outbreak in March, and this is more contagious data. The summit will also take security issues in Africa, including in the Sahel, Libya, South Sudan, and Somalia. The leaders will also expect to re-elect African Union Commission Chairperson and other 6 commissioners. The incumbent Chairperson Musa Faki Mahamat is the sole candidate for second and the last 4-year term. In a Democratic Republic of Congo will take the helm from South Africa to serve as 1-year chairmanship of the Union. Meanwhile, President Joe Biden delivered a message to Africa leaders meeting virtually this weekend at the African Union Summit 2021 hosted from Addis Ababa. The United States stands ready now to be your partner in solidarity, support and mutual respect, Biden said in a video address. His first speech to an international forum as U.S. President.
I'm honored to send the best wishes of the people of the United States in advance of the 34th African Union Summit. This past year has shown us how interconnected our world is and how our fates are bound up together. That's why my administration is committed to rebuilding our partnership around the world and re-engaging with international institutions like the African Union. We must all work together to advance our shared vision of a better future.
In his remarks, Biden outlined what he called a shared vision of a better future with growing trade and investment that advances peace and security. A future committed to investing in our democratic institutions and promoting the human rights of all people, Biden said.
A future of growing trade and investment that advances prosperity for all our nations. A future that advances lives of peace and security for all our citizens. A future committed to investing in our democratic institutions and promoting the human rights of all people, people with disabilities, and people of every ethnic background, religion, and heritage. To reach this future, we also must confront the serious challenges we face. That includes investing more in global health, defeating COVID-19 and working to prevent, detect, and respond to future health crises, and partnering with the African CDC and other institutions to advance health security. Raising our climate ambitions and ensuring developing nations can mitigate and adapt to climate impacts that are already causing pain. And engaging in sustained diplomacy in connection with the African Union to address conflicts that are costing lives all across the African continent.
Chairperson of the African Union Commission, Moussa Faki Mahamat, welcomes the message and said the African Union looks forward to resetting the strategic AU-USA partnership.
A delegation led by Muferiat Kamil, Minister of Peace, and David Beasley, Executive Director for WFP, arrived in Mekelle, Tigray Regional State. During their stay in the regional state, they will see the delivery of humanitarian aid in the city of Mekelle and its environs, including the Kwiha area. The delegation is also expected to hold discussions with the interim administration of Tigray and officials of the National Disaster Risk Management Commissioner on progress of humanitarian aid deliveries. Welcome back. You're watching Addis News Hour. The Ministry of Culture and Tourism has announced the travel safety certification that Ethiopia has received from the International Council for Travel and Tourism. Minister of Culture and Tourism Hirut Kasau said the Safe Travel stamp will help revive Ethiopia's tourism sector. Emmanuel Jorge has more on this.
Ethiopian Ministry of Culture and Tourism noted that Ethiopia's receiving the Safe Travel stamp from the UK-based World Travel and Tourism Council will contribute to revive the tourism sector, which was affected by COVID-19 pandemic. Culture and Tourism Minister Hirut Kasau said WWTC gave recognition to Ethiopia's effort in preventing COVID-19 pandemic and reviving the tourism sector with strategic plan. The Safe Travel stamp was achieved due to the activities carried out at tourist destinations and the strategy designed to rehabilitate the sector, she said.
The World Travel and Tourism Council have been highly supporting us to provide a world standard tour service. We acknowledge them for doing that. They gave us this Safe Travel stamp after evaluating Ethiopians' accomplishments on delivering quality tour service along struggling with COVID-19.
Stating that tourism was not closed due to the strong heat of COVID-19 pandemic in Ethiopia, the minister said that the recognition would help the country to attract tourists to come to Ethiopia without any safety concern. Director General of Tourism Ethiopia, Silashi Girma, said that WWTC is acknowledging Ethiopia will revive the sector and will enable it to be fully operational again.
Ethiopia is always ready for tourism. The country has already fulfilled the requirements put by the World Travel Tourism Council, and it has also applied on the ground. So we have questioned that we deserve the Safe Travel stamp. Therefore, we could achieve it through our embassy in London.
It was mentioned that many works are undergoing through Ethiopian embassies in different countries to promote Ethiopian tourism in order to bring the stagnated tourism back on the saddle.
The Ministry of Water, Irrigation and Energy disclosed that the overall construction of GERD has reached over 78%. Talking to journalists here today, the minister, Seleshi Bekele, said Ethiopia is comfortable with the Democratic Republic of Congo DRC to facilitate a trilateral talk on the GERD like its South African counterpart did. The ministry pointed out that the government is always committed to undertake the second filling of water into the main dam as scheduled. Haptamo Ashagwe has attended the press conference and files the following report.
Despite many challenges, overall construction of the $4.6 billion Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam has reached over 78%, the Ministry of Water, Irrigation and Energy said in a statement. Briefing journalists today, Minister of Water, Irrigation and Energy Seleshi Bekele said the government is always committed to undertake the second filling water as of its schedule. He added the government is undertaking proper early generation safety testing activities to early generate electric from 2 turbines.
Readiness to fill the dam? Yes, we are progressing very well according to schedule. As per the document of our 3 countries where we have consensus, we respect that. We don't change, we don't increase the amount to be filled. We keep our words, the integrity of our commitment, and continue with that. The early generation turbines question was raised. The early generation, what you said, yes, in February, March, testing, commissioning, etc. will start. Yes, these things are ongoing. We'll reach when those times come, we start testing. There are phases of dry testing, phases of wet testing, starting of connecting the system to the grid. There are so many tests. So when I say commercial operation starts in August, it is that end in the goal of connecting the electricity to the grid. Otherwise, the readiness, the early generation testing and so on will come ahead of August.
According to the minister, the civil and marine installation workers have also reached 91% and 52% respectively. He stresses that activities are also well in progress to increase the ongoing overall construction performance of GERD into over 81% in the coming 6 months. He stresses that activities are also well in progress to increase the ongoing overall construction performance of GERD into over 81% in the coming 6 months. Other metal workers and steel structure activities are also registering remarkable progress, Seleshi remarked. Regarding the tripartite negotiation on Ethiopia's flagship project, he told journalists that Ethiopia, Sudan and Egypt are equally negotiating to bring solutions to solve disputes on Abai River.
Recent time, Sudan changed its stance. No, Sudan is actually a negotiating party, one of the 3 negotiating parties. Those statements saying Sudan did this, Sudan tried to broker, no, this is not correct. They always target their interest. They may pretend that they are, mediating between Egypt and Ethiopia. It's not accurate. It is very well proven that they are actually very difficult negotiators. When we say, what is your problem in terms of dam safety, data exchange, tell us. Even our prime ministers committed that if it is an issue of data exchange, we exchange data reciprocally. If it is dam safety, the construction of GERD is the most outstanding and modern construction technology approach. So bring to us what issues Sudan may have. We sit together and find a solution for it. That is our stance. Because we don't have any intention of harming any of our neighbors.
According to Seleshi, the government expects the DRC to facilitate the platform of the trilateral negotiation to solve Abai River dispute like its South African counterpart.
In In a related news, Ethiopian Minister of Water, Irrigation and Energy, Silashi Bekkele, reaffirmed Ethiopia's commitment to continue to resolve disputes with lower riparian countries regarding the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam through dialogue. The minister underlined that Ethiopia never aspires to hurt its neighbors, but rather strives to benefit them. The minister made the remark in an interview with Al Jazeera. Emmanuel Jorge presents the story compiled by the Ethiopian news agency.
Ethiopian Minister of Water, Irrigation and Energy Silashi Bekkele told Al Jazeera that Ethiopia's unchanging stance regarding disputes over the $4.6 billion GERD is to resolve through discussions. The minister noted that tripartite negotiations have resulted in some agreements, including technical issues. However, he said they have been very careful on issues which may affect Ethiopia's right towards developmental activities in the coming time.
There are legal issues that are explicitly or impliedly trying to foreclose Ethiopia's future development right and interest. Therefore, we have to be careful in concluding this kind of rules and guidelines.
He pointed out that Ethiopia has a standoff pre-agreement on Article 5A of the guideline for the filling of the dam.
Ethiopia suggested, and let's conclude first agreement based on the first filling up to the full level, and then continue negotiating on the difficult part, which is the operational one, which is entangled with rules that are beyond the GERD. Therefore, that is where we have, serious contention and still didn't conclude.
Elaborating on the point of disruption of the AU process, he stated that Ethiopia never blocked the AU process, but that it was insisting on the continuation of the platform. Therefore, the discussion should focus on administrative issues mentioned in Article 5, Sub-Article 2, Silashi said.
The Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam is a single project for Ethiopia. Ethiopia has future development needs for power generation, for agricultural productivity project, for drinking water supply, for industrialization. But trying to hinder Ethiopia's future development by putting in a certain type of article that prevents or explicitly or impliedly, Ethiopia will not agree to that.
Ethiopia is not focusing on its development only, but also on the development of the region, he disclosed, adding that when it has excess electricity, it can share to the region. Asked whether the GERD is a political project to control the Nile water, the minister emphasized that the dam is not designed and built for political purpose. The multi-billion-dollar dam was rather meant to harness the socio-economic benefits that particular infrastructure provides.
It is very near to the border with Sudan. About 20 or 40 kilometers maximum from the border. This is, in fact, a huge infrastructure that serves to transform Sudan. This is really a fake accusation because it's not built for political purpose. It's rather to transform the life and the livelihood of 110 million people in Ethiopia who actually contributed, each and every walk of life, contributed resource actually to build this dam.
The country has not achieved universal electricity access, and access to electricity is very low. Some 65 million people in Ethiopia are without electricity.
In business news, Minister of Urban Development and Construction, Engineer Aisha Mohammed, yesterday received a Russian business delegation. Engineer Aisha discussed with members of the delegation that are drawn from construction, industry, and information technology companies on investment opportunities available in urban development and construction sectors. The minister briefed the delegation about the huge investment potential available in the housing sector and the government's interest to invite private and foreign firms to address the problem. Members of the delegation, for their part, expressed their interest to engage in social infrastructure investment sectors such as education and health. According to the Ministry of Urban Development and Construction, the delegation pledged to take practical steps and invest in Ethiopia soon. And finally, DRC's President Felix Tshisekedi has now taken over the helm of the African Union to serve as the chairman for 1 year. He replaces his South African counterpart Cyril Ramaphosa following the AU's 34th summit on Saturday. The incoming AU chairman, DRC's President Felix Tshisekedi, is expected to face big challenges this year, with the coronavirus pandemic hitting health services and economies hard. The continent has so far been hit less than other regions, recording only 3.5% of global virus cases and 4% of global deaths, according to the Africa CDC. But many African countries are battling damaging second waves while straining to procure sufficient vaccine doses. African leaders are speaking out against hoarding by rich countries at the expense of poor ones. Vaccine financing is also expected to be discussed at the summit. Other issues facing the continent are the Nile Dam dispute and conflicts in Ethiopia's Tigray, the Sahel, and the Central African Republic. The report is from Africa News. A reminder of today's headlines. Culture and Tourism Minister says Ethiopia's Safe Travel Stamp helps revive the tourism sector. And Biden signals new tone on US-Africa relations. And that's all we had for now. I'm Tabitha John. Thank you for watching. Goodbye for now.